And what I'm basically going to be mentioning in these excerpts or pieces that I pulled from one of the sites where I originally wrote this down, as I do keep this stuff to make things like this after I write it. But I'm pulling it directly off its original setup. I'm getting into things like, your business ploys of the world, about different limits being set on us and things of that nature. That's what this is getting into, and I'm reading directly from the elements involved with these two subject lines. And I'm basically talking about lack of limits, how we are not of limits, and how we are so easily misled by the things also that businesses say just to get your finance. And those kinds of things are supposed to be discussed here. Now, I go on to start based on the top end of this. It was not critiqued into a full written form. I'm taking it directly as I written it from the site I was on, dropped it right into a cut and paste. So now it's in front of me as that. So I might have to do a little more scrolling, in other words, because I don't have it in a full form. But I started off by basically saying here that God has no limits. So why let a man place those on you? People are taking more than we are supposed to in the world, as far as those who are over you, whether we're talking about government, businesses, whatever. And people don't realize that this is a problem. I went on to say there, be meek, but not a punk. That means we try to carry a meek spirit towards people and things like that, but don't be a run over. My grandfather even came up and stated about that reality. He may let you on him, so put it that way, but he won't let you rub it in. That has a lot of spiritual meaning if people bother using the spiritual thought instead of the carnal one. There's a reason why God brings that up. Also, I was actually on the site talking at the time about these heart limits. Hearts that you can give showing some love. And I said to myself, there's a bigger subject here because there's always a limit on everything. And that's what I started to talk about here. I said, why is there 3 heart limits? I said, God has no limit on us in love. Man is nothing but set limits. And that's what we're talking about. Man is nothing but set limits. And at the same time, we are not built with any. But yet people live by limits. And the limits are limits like here on the screen. Card limits, credit card, debit, housing limits, age limits, order limits. And I went on to say the world sickens me of their limits. We are limitless by God. Okay? I go on further to say, you can even place an order on a car, but for a limited time. And then I went on to state here that it is a business ploy because it's about getting your finances. I'm basically trying to show people the limited nature of the world, the limitlessness, and how the limited natures are being used against you to get what they want from you, things that they should never even receive, for the which they get in the world, versus those of us who made them who they are as we continue to be where we are. Though we know the word tells us why, we're still supposed to be smarter than that, though we know. Okay, as far as being aware. And I went on to say that I learned business myself by the grace of God. And I went on to talk about commercials and how commercials are a lie meant to get your money also. Telling people pretty much to watch these liars because it's all about your money. That's why they go out the way with these presentation commercials just to make it look good, something that that simply isn't. I went on to talk about the realities that money truly sees you. Or let me say it this way. I went on to say that the money world truly sees you as numbered cattle. That's truly how they treat it. Just like the Social Security card, the debit card, and even the internet that we use every day is all a ploy to utilize just that. Sold under the word convenience. Everything that's a convenience is what makes it so easy for you to accept it, but it's also their premise word for them to lay up the very thing that allows them to do what they do, which is why the elect of the world gets what they want so easily, because of how they sell it to you. And then it goes on to say here that everything you are getting inconvenience is there to set up. Don't believe it. I'm going God with that when I say that. Don't believe it. That's where you think he's coming from. He's trying to get you clear on these things. Let God guide you. If you don't believe it, let God guide you. This is the meaning of seeking you shall find. If you try to make the effort to sit down and try to look into this, he's going to show you the truth against whatever the world or any man tries to tell you. But you have to be willing to sit your butt down and get your carnal side turned off and turn your spiritual side on. That's what will happen. I go on further to say that if you try, then he shall show you the truth, that your everyday lives is more of a lie than you think. You know, the whole bank job world and stock market, Wall Street, all sort of stuff. God ain't got no real concern with that. It basically comes down to he's allowing this until he wipes it off like an eraser. And he's trying to prepare his church for that understanding, which is 80% of the church is not getting it. They're still quoting the very things he said be separate from, and with great clarity, they still get caught. All right. I go on further to say that the whole planet and even this internet was set up by the very sources that now work you to death, 3-4 jobs, you know, the money that they never intended to give you. What was I talking about there? I went on to say that it is a deliberate cap, keeping what you make much lower against the global cost of living, thereby keeping you in debt by the gap. What was I talking about there? I was simply talking about the reality that the reason why you work in 3 or 4 jobs, you justify it, you know, to pay your rent or whatever. But see, the problem is that system was created that way deliberately to work all of you that way. Just like Social Security cards and everything was created as a larger tracking element, and it's not conspiracy theory, it's a God truth. You know, it's known by those who seek God honestly enough that got revealed to them that this is the reality of the world you're living in over what you believe, which is what he's trying to make clear to people so that they can be separate enough that when he starts wiping it away, you won't go down with it. And that's one of the last points I actually made on this. But what I was really talking about furthermore is that this country, as well as other sources in the world, set it up that, for instance, you might make $7 an hour or whatever you might make. Even, you know, you might get those who make more or whatever. And they know that what you make needs to be here. That way you always maintain getting debt, which keeps the yoke around your neck as the cost of living deliberately by global sources sitting at nice little old tables, which actually is true. It's not conspiracy. I mean, common sense. The ones who say opposite are paid to even tell you that so that it confuses your mind not to believe what some of us say. But they're the ones sitting there saying, well, okay, just make sure they only make this much money. That way, you know, we keep the cost of living, food, and everything up here and then down here. Effectively, God level translation is that's how they're keeping the dog leash around your neck, by keeping what you earn low, keeping the cost in the global world high, NWO, New World Order, thank you, and thereby keeping a yoke around your neck combined with your debts that you feel so guilty about. Well, here's a shocker. Don't feel so guilty about your debts, because even in America's creation, she had a debt system set up, created by those over in Europe that came over here, and they ain't got nothing to do with Columbus. It's actually a New World Order concept, well known, that you would create a foundation that keeps the leash on people's necks, thereby keeping control on them. That's what it's all about. Everything from the Social Security card to how much you make at your jobs, which is why you're working 4 jobs and don't realize it, that what's going on is really the same thing as the Hebrew days versus the Romans. The Romans worked for Hebrews like they did in Egypt, did they not? That's what they're doing to y'all today. And God's the one trying to get y'all to see you're a little bit too caught up in this. They're working you, and you're justifying what they're doing, okay, by continuing. And then you say, well, what else can we do? Why don't you ask God that? Because at the end of the day, there's coming a time when this stuff's going to be wiped away anyway. All this stuff that's pushing you so hard, he's going to free you from it all. I can't speak to the exact time frame, but what I'm trying to tell you people is, what I'm pointing out in this video is, we are limitless, boundless souls that are like eagles. Yet the world, its system, its finance, its money, its banks is built in the limits that not only were created by New World Order, but Satan himself, just to get you to believe as a brainwash the things you do, so that that world system doing what it does can continue to set itself up and do everything that it does. And that's the thing God's trying to make clear to you. Be aware of these entities so that as I break you from it, you will see who your enemies are. Therefore, be aware of them and not so caught. Men perish for lack of knowledge, the Bible says. This is the kind of stuff he was talking about. What I show you spiritually will allow you to be aware of what's going on out there, and then that will keep you from being so caught. that even when I separate you, you will not fall with them when I begin to come against them. And that time is what's approaching real soon now. As we go into this next year, keep your eyes open. Some stuff's going to pop. That's all I'm going to say. God love a soldier telling you, keep your children straight, teach them Proverbs 3. Hey, the praise of the Lord. Peace out.